Metal monthly. New metal. Metal monthly. No new metal. Howdy, Banger fans. Blayne Smith welcoming you to a new year and another Metal Monthly, Bangers Monthly look at what's coming out in metal releases. As you can see, I'm back at home because we're in another COVID lockdown. Hey, COVID. Who even gets COVID anymore? Me, I got COVID. That's why I sound like this. I have COVID. Regardless, I hope you had a great holiday season, and hopefully you also didn't get COVID. Hopefully you just got whatever gift you wanted for yourself, and may it adorn your delightful... Oh no. As I was saying, yeah, happy holidays and happy new year. So as always, off the top, before I get to my 5 top picks, I'm just running down some of the big releases coming out in January, because it's January. We got big releases. We're back, baby. Metal's back, and it comes back January 7th, which is, I guess, in the past now. Sorry about the delay. Again, the COVID. Wilderun released Epigon on Century Media Records. January 14th, Shadow of Intent releases Elegy on Blood Blast Distribution. Fit for an Autopsy releases Oh, What the Future Holds on Nuclear Blast. Under Oath released Voyeurist on Fearless Records. January 21st, we've got 40 Watt Sun releasing Perfect Light on Svart Records. We've got Boris releasing W on Sacred Bones. We've got Billy Talent releasing Crisis of Faith on Spine Farm. We've got Comeback Kid with Heavy Steps on New Damage Records. January 28th, we've got Lawnmower Death releasing Blunt Cutters on Dissonance Productions. We've got Celeste releasing Assassinizes on Nuclear Blast. We've got Cloakroom releasing Dissolution Wave on Relapse Record, and we have Earthless releasing Night Parade of 100 Demons on Nuclear Blast. So those are some of the big releases you might want to keep an eye out for. We might cover some of them, we might not. Who knows what the future holds, but I know what the future holds for me, telling you about 5 sweet records coming out this month. First, we've got a band I'm so excited to talk about. I'm already wearing the t-shirt. It's Eliminator's Ancient Light, coming out on Dissonance Productions January 14th. Have a listen. So here we've got some British heavy metal with a cover by Velio Josto. And hey, shout out to Mark at Asylum 77 for doing a great job on the layout. One of the few uses of tasteful drop shadow I've ever seen. Hey, congratulations. But back to the band, and I'm going to be honest with you, these guys are starting to push it. So last year, my album of the year was Heavy Sentence, which features members of Wiegedood, who I've very warmly reviewed on this channel, and Aggressor Perfector, who I've featured on this very show. Well, now another member of that band is releasing another record with another band, and inevitably, I'm going to have to promote it here because it's awesome. Guitar player of Heavy Sentence, Jack McMichael, is also the lead guitar player of this band, and this record is fantastic. Why is it fantastic? Well, because it's the sonic personification of why I was frustrated with that Iron Maiden release last year. Because this sounds like an Iron Maiden record that Iron Maiden never wrote. And it sounds like a great Iron Maiden record that Iron Maiden never wrote. So what does that mean? Well, that means that there are still great Iron Maiden records to be written. And yeah, this Iron Maiden record was great. So if you were also a little frustrated with that release, I've got good news for you. There's a great Iron Maiden record that's coming out. And if you liked that Iron Maiden record, well, get ready to have your easily pleased ears blown off, because this record is fantastic. Just chock full of that great British heavy metal sound, and I think you guys are going to love it. Yep, I'm already talking about black metal. It's Wiegedood's There's Always Blood at the End of the Road on Century Media Records, also coming out January 14th. So let's have a listen now. we've got some Belgian black metal, and while it's not a steadfast rule, frequently aggressive black metal is made by knuckle-dragging morons, and arty black metal is made by soft weirdos, and they don't always mesh together. There's obviously, like I said, exceptions, and one of those exceptions is Wiegedood, who, despite being Church of Raw collective dudes, makes some very aggressive, in-your-face black metal. And this is their first record after the De Doden Hebben Het Goad trilogy, and I actually think it might be their best record, not just because I can actually pronounce this one. Those 3 records followed a 4-long song format, and I kind of felt it got a little stale towards the 3rd record. Well, they've smashed out of that mold on this record and managed to make something that feels a little less fence city between the 2 black metal worlds. Their black metal is still super aggressive, super intense, fast, frantic, just crazy stuff, but the artistic interludes manage to kind of maintain that aggressiveness, and if they're not aggressive, they're unsettling and weird and just make you feel bad. And so it's all really actually kind of blending together, and the whole thing fits together, click, click, satisfying like a perfect grade Gundam model. So I really think this is Wiegedood's best record. So if you've been enjoying Wiegedood, what a great present to start the new year off with. Ha! Well, we expected me to talk about black metal, but did we expect me to talk about folk metal? It's Verikalpa with Tunturihauta on Scarlet Records, January 14th. Grab a beer, swing it around. This Finnish folk metal band is continuing its trend of album covers featuring orcs and beer steins, which I love. And I love them enough that this is my 2nd time talking about them on Metal Monthly, because I don't get to talk about folk metal that often, because folk metal is rarely this fun. If you haven't heard me talk about them before, well, this is full-on folk metal. There's a keyboardist. His keyboard sounds like accordions or some shit. It's a lot. But based on the album cover, I think we can tell this is a band that doesn't take itself too seriously, which is always a big recipe for success in my books. I couldn't place it before, but one of the things I think this record sounds like is sort of like that first Kvelertek record, which I guess that means there's a bit of like a fun punky vibe going on in this folk metal, which is weird combination, but super works here. Basically, to sum this record up, if you ever had a D&D campaign that digressed into more rowdy drinking than D&D, I think this might be the record for you. But back to things we expect me to talk about. It's a Death Doom record. It's Druid Lord's Relics of the Dead on Hell's Headbanger Records, coming out January 21st.
Footsteps approach from the shadows of night. Whispers echo from the woods. Campfire flames grow hotter and higher. Chills from the stories being told. Tales of murder, death and superstition.
Dang, we're already getting more quality Death Doom out of Florida. That Worm record ain't even cold yet. We've already got to add another entry to the hallowed halls of the Methshine State. So, if you're a fan of Never Cross the Dead era Hooded Menace sound, well, boy howdy, this is a record for you. It really nails that plodding Death Doom, dripping with tone, and then every once in a while they crank up the reverb on the guitars to toss a nice layer of atmosphere over everything, and a bit of a weird touch are the solos. They're frantic and strange and not traditional and can really pop up at any point in the song. End of the song, start of the song, who cares, toss a solo in there. And then finally, to complete the really just nice stamp of, hey, this is the style of death doom that this guy loves. We've got some horror samples sprinkled in for good measure. And what more could you ask for out of a death doom record? Nothing, according to this guy. Thus, we come to our palette cleanse of the month, and Eliminator would have been the palette cleanse of the month, but I wanted to talk about it off the top, and I wanted to say this for the end as a surprise, because surprise, it's power metal. It's Power Paladin with the magic of Windfyre Steel on Atomic Fire Records. It came out January 7th, so you can listen to the full thing, which you absolutely should, because it's fantastic. Have a little sample now. We've got some Icelandic power metal, and while this Metal Monthly has been stuffed full of bands we've already talked about before, or bands featuring members of bands we've already talked about before, this is a true palette cleanse in that this is the first release of any kind from this band. They haven't released an EP, they haven't released a live video. This is their first release, and for most of the band members, it's their first release of any kind, and as far as I can tell, it's the first release of a full-on Icelandic power metal band. I can't think of any Icelandic power metal bands. So very exciting. It's especially exciting and confusing that despite all that, they could make a record that sounds this over-the-top professional. Power metal is not the easiest genre to play, and this is fucking capital P power metal. We got 6 members, 2 guitar players, a goddamn guitar player, yet despite that, it still manages to sound as good as a Twilight Force record or a Power Quest record, just standing up there with my favorite power metal bands. It's always fast, gallopy. We've got some great guitar action. There's plenty of sing-along moments, especially when the gang vocals come in, and they even tossed in some harsh vocals on a track, which I hope they experiment more with in the future. This is completely fun power metal band, and while they faked me out twice with some piano intros to 2 songs, they even kept the dreaded power metal ballad off the record. It's great. I have no complaints. No ballad, no complaints. It's amazing. So here's a power metal record for you. I don't bring them to you often, but when I do, hoo boy, they're a great record. And that's the month. Thanks for coming out. Appreciate it. And hey, if you want to hear about a couple more records from me, head on over to our Patreon page. We started doing our tip sheet over there in video form. So if you like hearing about more music, over there. And hey, if you like me, you can follow me at twitch.tv/metalcomedy. Every Sunday, we research this video so you get to listen to all these good bands and a lot of bad ones. I hope you come out. Thanks. See you later. Bye.